glanced at my watch, 11:57 p.m. The train's whistle pierced the cold night air as I stepped onto the dimly lit platform. The last train of the night always had an eerie stillness, as if the world held its breath until morning. I shivered, clutching my coat tighter, and boarded the empty car. The doors slid shut with a heavy thunk, sealing me in. The fluorescent lights overhead buzzed faintly, casting a sterile glow over the worn seats. I took my usual spot near the middle of the car, tossing my bag onto the seat next to me. The train lurched forward, rattling down the tracks with a rhythmic clatter. At first, I welcomed the solitude. It was a relief after another grueling shift. My reflection stared back at me in the smudged window, pale and exhausted, with dark shadows under my eyes. But as the train sped through the darkness, the quiet began to feel unnatural. The first sound was faint, a soft, rhythmic tapping. I brushed it off as some mechanical quirk, the train settling into its nightly routine. But then it moved, growing louder and closer, like fingers drumming against the windows. I turned toward the sound, heart thudding, but saw nothing except my distorted reflection. Just my imagination, I told myself. Long hours and little sleep could do that. The train slowed at the next station. I watched the platform pass by, deserted, save for a single flickering lamp. No one got on, and no one got off. Yet as the train resumed its journey, I couldn't shake the feeling I was no longer alone. Out of the corner of my eye, a shadow flickered down the aisle. I snapped my head toward it, but again, nothing. My palms were damp, my breath shallow. "Get a grip," I muttered under my breath. But the noises escalated. Soft whispers brushed against my ears, just on the edge of hearing. The tapping turned into scratching, long, deliberate scrapes against the walls. I stood abruptly, scanning the empty car, but saw nothing. The air felt colder now, heavy with a metallic tang that clung to the back of my throat. The lights overhead flickered, plunging the car into momentary darkness. When they came back, something had changed. My bag, which I'd left on the seat, was now on the floor. I bent to pick it up, my hands trembling. That's when I felt it, a warm breath against the back of my neck. I spun around, heart hammering, but the aisle was empty. The air was still, yet the oppressive sense of being watched pressed down on me. The next station came and went. Again, no one boarded. But as the train pulled away, the reflection in the window caught my eye. My stomach turned cold. There was a figure standing at the far end of the car, shrouded in shadows, its head tilted unnaturally, as if studying me. I blinked and turned, but the aisle was empty. When I looked back at the window, the figure was closer. I stumbled back, colliding with the seat behind me. The lights flickered again, and this time they didn't come back. The train plunged into darkness, the only sound my ragged breathing and the relentless clatter of the wheels on the tracks. Then I heard it, a voice, low and guttural, whispering my name.
Daniel.
My blood froze. "Who's there?" I shouted, my voice cracking. A sudden, deafening bang echoed through the car, followed by the sound of heavy footsteps running toward me. I scrambled backward, tripping over my own feet as the footsteps stopped inches away. A hand shot out of the darkness, gripping my arm with impossible strength. The lights flickered back on, revealing a face, pale, with hollow eyes and a twisted grin, its mouth stretching impossibly wide. I screamed and wrenched free, stumbling into the emergency brake. The train screeched to a halt, throwing me forward. I hit the ground hard, gasping for air. When I looked up, the car was empty. The doors hissed open, and I bolted out onto an overgrown, abandoned platform. The train sat motionless, its lights dark, as if it had never been alive. As I staggered toward the exit, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out with shaking hands and stared at the screen.
You can't run, Daniel. Not forever.